You want a piece of me? Come get some.
As soon as we enter the library, we're summoned by our good pal Marvin. It would appear that somebody has arrived on the other side of the police station.
There you are. Come here. There you are. Come here. Take a look.
What is it?
Take a look.
Oh my god, he made it!
You know him?
Yeah, it's Leon. Kennedy, I think?
The rookie.
Yes! I knew she'd make it.
You know her?
Yeah. Name's Claire. I came into town with her.
Thought he looked familiar. You can make it to that courtyard. The second floor, east side.
Okay. Thanks, Marvin. I'm on it.
I'm on it. Thanks, Lieutenant.
So what better time to get started on the east side? The entrance to the hallway designed to fucking kill you is locked off for now, and for good reason, so it's time to make our way through the entrance located upstairs. Inside door number 1 is a complete remake of the room found here in the original design of the Raccoon City Police Department. Unfortunately, missing the amazing music that normally goes along with this safe space. Luckily, we have Project Honor to fall back on for that. This room originally contained a very interesting file, detailing the last days of the Chief of Police's assistant, as she spoke about how she thought that the Chief was probably out to kill her, further laying in hints that the Chief of Police isn't who we expect him to be. In our first hallway beyond this save room, we hear the sound of a helicopter just out of range of view, and as we make our way through the hallway itself, we are greeted to the sound and explosion of the incoming crash. As we make our way outside to take a closer look at what just happened, we're interrupted by the arrival of our fellow playable character, Leon himself.
Hey! Claire?
Leon! I'll be right there!
Claire! Hold on! I'll be right there!
Okay! Leon, we really gotta stop meeting like this.
Are you alright? Police chopper, it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Claire! It's so nice to see you.
How are you doing? That helicopter just came out of nowhere.
I'm in one piece.
I'm guessing you don't have a key in one of those fancy pockets?
Unfortunately, no. But how are you doing?
You know, just surviving.
That's good.
Yeah.
Any luck with your brother?
No, not yet.
Claire, don't lose hope. I'm sure we're gonna find him. I take it you don't have the key.
No, I don't. It's good to see your face, though. How are you holding up?
I am hanging in there.
Hell of a night, huh?
Yeah. You find your brother?
I did, actually. He's... Just when you think it can't get any worse. Leon, you should get going.
Damn it. You know what that means?
Yeah. Dinner time.
Don't worry about me. Just get yourself to safety. Claire, I think you should go.
Don't worry about me, Leon. You take care of yourself. No, Leon, seriously, they're getting through the fence. Please, just go.
We're gonna make it. Both of us. Claire, you need to go. Now!
Okay, let's get through this. Both of us.
He's finally made his way to the station. Now don't blink or you'll miss this singular cutscene that we actually have with these two characters, and as far as changes to their major characters goes, I actually genuinely really enjoy this cutscene. And to be honest, I better fucking enjoy it, because it's the only one between these two characters before we get to the end of the game itself. Now, if you're wondering, this is exactly where Leon and Claire's B scenario actually begins, with each character making their way to this gate from the back entrance of the police station itself, which sucks. Honestly, it sucks. The journey through the city streets to the police station have always been a favourite of mine in the original title. It's still something that's completely different and actually very interesting, showing off a completely different way to enter the police station itself than what was found previously. So maybe I shouldn't complain too much, since the entire B scenario is absent from this title anyway. The huge loss outweighs the little pieces of missing content, but nonetheless, this area of police stations outside is completely unavailable to be entered during Claire or Leon's A scenario. And honestly, if we're nitpicking scenes, Leon definitely could have just climbed the fence, if not for the imploding helicopter alerting the horde of zombies from the outside area. Claire, here age 19, comes across like a horny teenager that she is, and I think that's brilliant. If there's one thing that comes across in this remake trilogy of titles, it's that the stars of Resident Evil games fuck. And that's new. Completely new. They never fucked before. Of course, Leon's love isn't returned, as he falls for a certain Asian that we'll meet later on in this timeline. But nonetheless, whilst we're on the topic, I'd like to talk about the relationship scene between Leon and Claire. And as I've said already, I really do love this scene between the two of them. The chemistry is great. But I'm sorry to follow up every single positive with a but. There are several pieces of content completely missing from the relationship and friendship between Claire and Leon in this remake. Sure, they don't interact a ton of times in the original, but much more than is seen here. As we make our way back inside, we are greeted to the sight of a burning zombie. Something that is incredibly memorable from the original title's visual, and honestly still holds up to this day. The fire in the Resident Evil 2 remake does look great, and Capcom's new Resident Evil engine is an incredible sight to see, working overtime here on this game as well as in Devil May Cry 5. Our next stop on Claire's A run is into the hallway designed to fucking kill you, where all the zombies I ran away from hours earlier are still here waiting for me, as well as Elliot's body, which remains here for the remainder of this run, only coming back to life during the B run of this title. Up next is a room that is actually one of my favourites. It's the Star's office. In the original title, this room has no music and a handful of zombies, placed on very strategic places in this room in an attempt to murder you. Above we see the air conditioning unit buzzing away, something that for some reason is actually turned off in the remake. What's really interesting to me watching this footage back is how there seems to be so much more detail and so much more character, as well as so much more colour in the original 1998 footage. Now, it's pretty obvious by this point my incredible bias, but just looking at the old 1998 footage, looking at the browns, how much richer they are, how much more realistic the 1998 footage looks, especially when you compare it to the current kind of graphics engine, where all the colours are incredibly washed out, where the lighting is completely washed out, where everything is dark, and in an attempt to be more realistic, it's almost as though we've lost something there. The art form that was presented in 1998, there's so much more to that, in my opinion, compared to the current day look of things, where although there's so many different pieces thrown all over the scene, there's so many pieces of paper, there's letters, there's all sorts of rubbish that has been discarded in the current day remake of Resident Evil 2. But then when you go back and when you think about those scenes, when you think about those rooms, you don't remember anything. Whereas if you look at the very small details that were placed there in the 1998 original release, it's incredible the things that your eye is drawn to, and incredible the very small details that your brain can remember. For example, this room has no music in it in the 2019 remake, but the 1988 version also has no music. All you can hear is the sound of the air conditioning buzzing above, and that to me, like, that stands out in my brain all these years later as being something so special that something as simple as that can stand out to me is pretty incredible if you think about it. Capcom spent all this time making this remake and trying to make this room look as realistic as they could, but they ended up going in my opinion, the opposite direction from what they wanted to actually achieve. Now, this office, of course, has been moved very slightly from the original map as well, whereas this room held the entrance to the outside as well as the basement inside of it. It is now just a tiny bit smaller, and the entrance to both of those places has now been shifted into the hallway itself. This actually makes sense, so I'm fine with it. This hallway is lovingly recreated in this game, and I appreciate that. After this room is behind us, we have the press room. Another room that stands out in our memories from 1998 as being rather infamous in the B-run of this title, although in the remake is completely useless. Nothing takes place here. There's no puzzle, there's no run-in with Mr. X. Sure, it's a cool room to look at and it can be ticked off the lists of rooms that are included in this game, but it doesn't even count as a shortcut as the doorway is always blocked. Really does feel like they just put this room in because it was there before, so yep, here it is again, but it's pointless. What was the point of remaking it, and if you're not going to do anything with it? Strange.
What are you playing? It's a subtle blend of lateral thinking and extreme violence.
What? Like it's a knockout?
Did you want something?
At this point in the original title, the helicopter that crashed previously is actually blocking our way to progress, and in order to progress we must get a hold of some C4 and blow up the helicopter itself. Now this of course is mirrored in the remake, where we're forced to blow up a small piece of wall in order to get a hold of the final medallion that will grant us access to the sewers that are below the police station. Let's not read the last page of this book first. The next room that we need to access in the remake is the art room, an impressive room which again is faithfully recreated and rather bland. The puzzle itself is closer to that of the puzzle that's found in the hallway in the original title, more than the puzzle that's actually supposed to be in this room, but nonetheless. If we continue our look at Claire's original run from 1998, it's at this point that we're forced to put poor Marvin out of his misery, a scene that doesn't really play out at all in the remake until much later, where you find a zombified husk of Marvin stumbling around. I've already ranted about this in another video, so I won't repeat myself here. The emotional goodbye to Marvin is before we ascend into the sewers, so finding him as a zombie is just a right, he's dead moment, rather than a crushing decision to put our friend out of his misery.
I gotta hurry.
At this point in the remake, on the other hand, for some reason, the next location we're forced to make our way to is in fact the liquor corridor. A full hour after we visited this location where it should have been. Again, we're not greeted to an in-depth look at this monster or a cutscene of any kind. It's just there on the ceiling. Cool. I already kind of spoke about the liquor in the last couple of parts, so I won't revisit them again, but just know that they are incredibly powerful, which is a relief. Luckily, the door to our next location is directly in front of us, and we're actually led to a very familiar location, the STARS office itself. In the original title, we have access to this a lot earlier. It's almost one of the rooms that you actually find yourself in incredibly early, and is host to a meeting between Leon and Claire. In the remake though, all that's left for us is a note. Seriously, a fucking note? Are you really? Capcom, what the fuck? This room, unlike every other room in this title, is actually incredibly lovingly recreated, complete with being very well lit and being incredibly colourful. Of course, there are slight changes, as Wesker now has his own little office instead of being shoved into the corner of the original room, and there's even a locked away area which holds a weapon for either Leon or Claire, much like the original, which had a locker in the back where Jill held a magnum or grenade launcher. This room looks great, and it's a crazy difference from this to the office that I spoke about earlier. Whereas that place was blue, dark, depressing, bland and boring, this place, greatly lit and complete with an ambient soundtrack, just goes to show what Capcom can actually accomplish. This feeling of nostalgia is realised if they really wanted us to feel it. Now then, the point to enter this room was to grab the detonator, which led us to blow up a wall in a room they made up for the remake on a fictional third floor which doesn't exist, which leads us back downstairs and ready to enter the sewer. Of course, this comes after our crushing goodbye to Marvin. See you in the next part.
like it leads underground. Good. We can get out of this hellhole. Hey, Marvin! Guess what? I think I found a way out!
So it goes underground. Huh. That's it. That's our way out. Lieutenant Branna! Marvin! It's time to go. Hey, Marvin. We need to get you to a hospital right now.
Come on, let's get you out of here. Let's go. Are you okay?
No. Just go. Save yourself.
Come on, it's bad. We gotta get you to hospital
Please,
now.
Claire. We both know how this is going to end. Get out of the city. Save yourself.
Come on, I've got you.
Go!
Look, we can still make it out of here together. You just can...
It's too late. I tried, Leon. But I couldn't stop it. We can't let this thing spread. It's on you now. Just go.
I can't just leave you here.
Claire, please, go. Do this for me.
Okay. Hey, Marvin. Thank you.